my ex-boyfriend, who cheated on me and destroyed my business with fake reviews, asked me to cater his engagement party to the woman he cheated with. When I refused, he tried to bankrupt me 3 weeks before Christmas. So I showed up at his Christmas Eve engagement party with his fiancé's father and destroyed his life in front of 150 guests. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, this story is going to feel like pure justice. Stick around, because this revenge is perfectly served cold on Christmas Eve. My name is Jade Martinez. I'm 30 years old, and I own a small bakery called Sweet Beginnings in a town just outside Portland. I built that bakery from absolutely nothing, saved for 5 years, worked 3 jobs, slept 4 hours a night, and poured every ounce of my soul into making it real. The bakery wasn't just a business to me. It was proof that I could create something beautiful out of struggle. It was my dream made real, one cupcake at a time. For 3 years, Sweet Beginnings was everything I'd hoped for. Customers loved my desserts. I had a steady flow of orders, especially during the holidays. Christmas was my busiest season, accounting for nearly 40% of my annual revenue. I thought I had finally made it. Then my ex-boyfriend, Ryan, walked back into my life and tried to destroy everything. Ryan and I dated for 2 years. I thought we were building a future together. I thought he was the person I'd spend my life with. I was wrong. I found out he'd been cheating on me with a woman named Chelsea Montgomery, a marketing executive with family money and a polished smile that didn't reach her eyes. When I confronted Ryan, he didn't even apologize. He just shrugged and said, "You were too focused on your bakery. Chelsea actually has time for me." As if my ambition was a character flaw. I ended things immediately. It hurt, but I moved on. I focused on my business, on building something that couldn't betray me the way he had. For a year, I heard nothing from Ryan. I assumed he'd moved on with his life, and I'd moved on with mine. Then, 3 weeks before Christmas, he walked into my bakery. I was decorating gingerbread cookies when the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, and there he was, Ryan, standing in my bakery like he had every right to be there. My stomach dropped. "Jade," he said, flashing that same charming smile that used to make me feel special. "The place looks great. You've really done well for yourself." I set down my piping bag carefully, forcing my hands not to shake. "What do you want, Ryan?" He walked closer, hands in his pockets, casual and confident. "I need a favor. Chelsea and I are getting engaged. Officially, we're having an engagement party on Christmas Eve. And I thought, who better to cater it than you? Your baking is honestly the only good thing that came out of our relationship." I stared at him, unable to process what I was hearing. He wanted me, the woman he cheated on, to bake for his engagement party to the woman he cheated with. The audacity was breathtaking. "You're joking," I said flatly. Ryan's smile faltered slightly. "Come on, Jade. I'll pay you. It's good business, right? And honestly, no one bakes like you do. It would mean a lot." "No," I said, my voice steady despite the anger rising in my chest. "Absolutely not." His expression hardened. "You're really going to be petty about this?" "Petty?" I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You cheated on me, Ryan. You broke my heart. And now you want me to celebrate your relationship with the woman you betrayed me for? Get out of my bakery." Ryan's jaw tightened. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to something cold and mean. "Fine, but you're making a mistake, Jade. A big one." He turned and walked out, the bell chiming behind him like a warning. I stood there, my hands trembling, my heart pounding. I told myself it was over, that he'd leave me alone now. I was so wrong. 2 days later, the first review appeared. It was posted on Google, Yelp, and Facebook simultaneously. A 1-star review claiming that my bakery had given someone severe food poisoning. The reviewer, whose profile had no photo and no other reviews, wrote in graphic detail about vomiting, stomach cramps, and a trip to the emergency room. Sweet Beginnings is a health hazard. The review said, "Do not eat here unless you want to spend your holiday in the hospital." My stomach twisted as I read it. I'd never had a single complaint about food safety. My kitchen was spotless. I followed every health regulation to the letter. This wasn't real, but it didn't matter. The damage was already done. Within hours, more reviews appeared. Different accounts, all with similar stories. Food poisoning, illness, contaminated desserts. Every single one was fake. Every single one was destroying my reputation. I tried reporting them, but the platforms said they'd investigate and get back to me. In the meantime, the reviews stayed up. By the end of the week, I'd lost 60% of my Christmas orders. Customers called to cancel, their voices apologetic but firm. "We just can't take the risk," one woman said, "especially with the holidays. I'm sure you understand." I understood. I understood perfectly. Ryan was destroying me. Then Chelsea joined in. She posted on her Instagram, where she had over 20,000 followers, a long caption about supporting local businesses with integrity and how she'd heard concerning things about Sweet Beginnings. She didn't name me directly, but she tagged the bakery's location. Her followers flooded my social media with comments. Ryan hadn't just rejected me. He was erasing everything I'd built. The next morning, I woke up with a decision sitting heavy in my chest. I wasn't going to let him win. I contacted a lawyer, a woman named Judy Harper, who specialized in defamation cases. I showed her the fake reviews, the timeline, the way they all appeared within days of Ryan's visit. Judy leaned back in her chair, her expression grim. "This is clear defamation. We can sue, but litigation takes time and money, Jade. Do you have either?" I didn't. My business was barely surviving. But Judy continued, "If we can prove who's behind this, definitively, we might be able to resolve this faster. Do you have any tech-savvy friends?" I did. My friend Logan, a software engineer, owed me a favor. Logan spent 2 days tracing the IP addresses of the fake review accounts. When he called me back, his voice was tight with anger. "Jade, every single one of those reviews came from the same IP address. Ryan's apartment." My hands went numb. "And there's more," Logan continued. "I did some digging into that competitor across town, Charlotte's Confections. I found emails on a business forum where someone matching Ryan's details was offering premium bakery recipes for sale. The timestamps match right after you two broke up. He's been trying to sell your work." I felt something inside me crack open. Not sadness, but cold, focused rage. Ryan hadn't just destroyed my reputation. He'd stolen my work. Then Logan said something that changed everything. "Jade, I also looked at Ryan's social media and all of Chelsea's posts about him. You know how he's always talking about being a successful investor? I can't find any evidence of actual income. Every expensive thing he posts, the luxury apartment, the sports car, the designer clothes, they're all at locations Chelsea tags that her father owns or pays for. Her captions mention her dad's generosity constantly. I think Ryan's completely broke and living off her family's money." I sat down slowly, my mind racing. Ryan was a fraud, a liar, and Chelsea had no idea. That's when I made my plan. I called Walter Montgomery directly. It took 3 attempts and a carefully worded email to get him to meet with me, but eventually he agreed. Walter was a tall man in his 60s, with silver hair and the kind of presence that came from decades of building a successful business. We met at a quiet coffee shop 5 days before Christmas. "Miss Martinez," he said, shaking my hand, "you said this was about my daughter's fiancé." I nodded. "Mr. Montgomery, I know this is going to sound strange, but I need to show you something. It's about Ryan, and I think you deserve to know the truth before the engagement party. I opened my laptop and showed him everything. The fake reviews traced to Ryan's IP address through the technical analysis Logan had documented. Screenshots of the forum posts where Ryan had offered my recipes for sale. Social media analysis showing Ryan had no visible income despite an expensive lifestyle entirely funded by Chelsea's family. Walter's expression grew darker with each piece of evidence. He's been lying to your daughter, I said quietly, about his career, his finances, everything. And he tried to destroy my business when I refused to help him maintain the illusion. Walter was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "Can you prove all of this?" Definitively, "Yes," I said. "And I can prove the reviews are fake. I have IP, addresses, timestamps, technical documentation, everything." Walter pulled out his phone. "Give me 2 days. I'm going to have my legal team and a private investigator verify everything you've shown me. If this is all true, and I suspect it is, we need to handle this carefully." 2 days later, on December 23rd, Walter called. "Miss Martinez, my team confirmed everything. The IP addresses, the recipe theft scheme, the financial fraud. Ryan has been deceiving my daughter from the beginning." His voice was cold with controlled anger. "I think Chelsea needs to know, publicly, so Ryan can't talk his way out of it or manipulate her privately. Would you be willing to attend the engagement party as my guest?" I met his eyes through the phone in my mind. "Yes." "Good," Walter said, "because I think it's time my daughter learned who she's really marrying. I'm having your name added to the guest list this morning. I also own the parent company that runs the venue. Ryan won't be able to stop you from entering." The engagement party was held at the Grand Riverside Hotel, the fanciest venue in town, with crystal chandeliers, a live string quartet, and 150 guests dressed in cocktail attire. I arrived with Walter, my heart pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. Ryan spotted me immediately. His face went white, then red. He started walking toward us, but Walter held up a hand. "Not yet, Ryan," Walter said coldly. The party continued around us. Champagne, laughter, the kind of celebration that felt obscene given what I knew. Then Walter stood up and clinked his glass, calling for everyone's attention. "Good evening, everyone," Walter said, his voice carrying across the room. "Thank you for celebrating this engagement with us. Before we continue, there's something important my daughter needs to know. And frankly, all of you deserve to hear it too." Chelsea looked confused. Ryan looked terrified. Walter gestured to me. "This is Jade Martinez. She owns Sweet Beginnings Bakery. Ryan asked her to cater this party. When she refused, he destroyed her business with fake reviews we've traced directly to his apartment through technical forensic analysis." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "But that's not all," Walter continued. "Ryan has been lying to my daughter, and to me, about his career. He has no job, no income." Walter handed her his tablet. Chelsea read in silence, scrolling through page after page of evidence. Her face grew paler with each swipe. When she finally looked up at Ryan, tears were streaming down her face. "You used me," she whispered, "for my money, my family. Everything was a lie." "Chelsea, I can explain," Ryan started. "No," Chelsea said, her voice stronger now despite the tears. "You can't explain this away. You destroyed someone's business. You stole from her. You lied to me about everything." She pulled off her engagement ring with shaking hands and set it on the table in front of him. "We're done." The room erupted. Guests whispered. Phones came out, and Walter raised his hand for silence one more time. "I've also been in contact with the district attorney's office," Walter said. "Criminal harassment charges are being filed based on the fake reviews and cyberstalking. The recipe theft is being investigated as intellectual property fraud." Two police officers stepped forward from where they'd been standing near the exit. I hadn't even noticed them arrive. "Mr. Ryan Morrison," one officer said firmly, "we need you to come with us for questioning regarding criminal cyber harassment charges and fraud allegations. You have the right to remain silent." Ryan tried to argue, tried to explain, but the officers were professional and insistent. He was escorted out while guests pulled out their phones, recording every moment. I stood there, watching him go, and felt something I hadn't felt in weeks: relief. By Christmas morning, the story had exploded online. Multiple guests had recorded Walter's speech and Ryan being taken away by police. The videos went viral across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. One clip, showing Ryan trying to deny everything while being escorted out, hit 2 million views by dawn. The comments flooded in. "This is the most satisfying Christmas revenge I've ever seen. That bakery owner is a queen. I'm ordering from Sweet Beginnings right now." And they did. Orders flooded in. My website crashed from traffic 3 times. By noon on Christmas Day, I had more orders than I could possibly fill alone. Walter Montgomery contacted me personally that afternoon. "Ms. Martinez, I'd like to discuss investing in your business. Not out of guilt, but because I believe in what you've built. I see your work ethic, your integrity, and your resilience. Would you be open to that conversation?" I was. Within a month, Sweet Beginnings expanded. I hired staff, opened a second location, and my reputation was fully restored. The fake reviews were removed after the platforms investigated the police reports as evidence. But the strangest thing, Chelsea reached out to me in early January. We met for coffee on a cold afternoon. She apologized for her part in the social media attacks. She believed Ryan's lies without questioning them. "I should have seen it," she said, her hands wrapped around her coffee cup. The signs were there, but I wanted to believe him. We talked for hours about betrayal, about rebuilding, about refusing to let someone else's cruelty define who we are. Over the following months, Chelsea and I became friends. Real friends. And 6 months after that Christmas Eve, we did something neither of us expected. We co-authored a book together, How to Spot a Fraud, a Christmas Revenge Story. It became a bestseller. Chelsea used her marketing expertise to promote it. I shared my story of resilience. Together, we helped thousands of people recognize red flags in relationships and business dealings. Ryan, he was convicted of criminal harassment and sentenced to community service and probation. The recipe theft case was settled out of court. Charlotte's Confections paid me damages and issued a public apology. Ryan's reputation was destroyed. His career prospects vanished. Last I heard, he'd moved to another state, trying to start over. I don't think about him much anymore. Instead, I think about my bakery, thriving with 2 locations. I think about the book Chelsea and I wrote together. I think about the life I built from the ashes of what someone tried to burn down. And I think about how sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's building something beautiful that they can never touch. Some people think revenge is ugly, but sometimes revenge is just the truth finally being told. Ryan tried to destroy me because I wouldn't play along with his lies. He thought I was powerless. He thought I'd just accept it and fade away. He was wrong. I didn't destroy him. I simply exposed him. And in doing so, I took back everything he tried to steal: my business, my reputation, my peace. That's not revenge. That's justice. And justice, when it's served with evidence and truth, is the most satisfying dish of all. All right.